Radio. You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello and welcome to Six Figure Dog Business. This is your host Ty Brown of SixFigureDogBusiness.com. Now this is the show where we teach you how to start or grow your dog or pet related business to a healthy six-figure per year profit. Now I'm excited for today's show because it's going to be a two-parter. In doing the background for this show there was just so much information that I realized that there wasn't any way I was going to fit it into one single show. And so today we're going to be dealing with how to advertise correctly. Sounds like a basic show, but it's anything but. So stick with us and we'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause.
Petco, where the pets go. Petco, where the pets go.
Pet Life Radio has tail-wagging, fur-flying, fabulous deals for our listeners from Petco. Get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off the entire Petco site. That's right. But that's not all. Because you're a Pet Life Radio listener, you'll also get free shipping on your order of $49 or more. $6 off, up to 40% off, and free shipping from Pet Life Radio and Petco. To get these awesome deals, go to PetcoDeals.com. That's PetcoDeals.com.
Petco, where the pets go.
I don't make any decisions about who to hire without going to Angie's List first.
You'll find reviews on home repair to healthcare, written by people just like you.
With Angie's List, I know who to call, and I know the results will be fantastic.
Angie's List, who you can trust.
Go to angieslist.com/best and get 25% off any subscription. That's angieslist.com/best. BEST.
Hi, this is Marcy Davis and my service dog Whistle, and we're your hosts of Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Working Like Dogs is the show where you can learn everything you ever wanted to know about working animals or working dogs. Whether you're a member of a working dog team or you've just seen a working dog or animal out at the mall or the grocery store and you're curious about how these amazing animals work with their human partners, then Working Like Dogs is the show for you. Join us for the inside scoop at Working Like Dogs on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm super excited today. This is a continuation of the different shows that we've been doing over these past couple months on how to transform your business in this new year. Now, so far we've worked on developing your USP, database marketing, joint ventures. Now, if what I'm saying, you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you haven't listened to those shows, I highly recommend you stop this show and go back and listen to those previous shows, simply because I referenced them in today's episode. And so you're going to be a little bit lost if you haven't already heard those shows. And so head back and listen to those. But like I say, I'm excited for today's show because I realized in this past week or two just how important this topic is to business owners like yourself. Now, the way I realize that is I'm a member of a number of groups on LinkedIn. Now, if you don't know LinkedIn.com, it's an online place. It's kind of like a professional Facebook is sometimes how it's billed, where, there's social networking components. In any case, I'm a member of a number of different groups on there for pet business owners and just a bunch of different groups. Now, a topic came up that got a lot of attention on one of these groups that I'm a member of. And that topic was something to the effect of, hey, you other business owners out there, what advertising do you do? Do you know if it's effective? I mean, what's out there? What are you guys doing that's working? Now, as I started reading the responses and contributing a little bit to the conversation, I realized that just about nobody had any clue on how to advertise. And I don't mean that in an offensive way, but nobody was well versed in how to advertise. No one had any system for tracking how effective their advertising was, and no one had any processes for creating the correct advertising pieces. And so here, this was a conversation being had by dozens and dozens of business owners, and really none of them, all of them in the same space that we're in, dog training, dog walking, pet sitting, that type of thing. And not one of them really knew much about advertising. Now, I don't think that is just our business. I think if you go to any industry, if you go to the plumbing industry, if you go to doctors, you go to any industry, you'll probably find that there are very few practitioners that really know how to do effective advertising. But it's something that I've studied a lot of, and it's something that I hope that today kind of kickstarts you into studying a lot more of, because it's my belief that advertising is, when it's done right, it's kind of a way to print money. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say if you have an advertisement and it works well, why don't you run it some more? And every time you run it, it gets you the same results, and you keep getting good results from that ad, and you keep making money. And anytime you feel, oh boy, we could use some more revenue this month, hey, go run that ad. Because if you've got the right processes down, you can just run that ad, you can run it in the next city over, you can run it, depending on what your business is, you can just run it more. Basically, it's a license to print money when it's done right. And so, like I say, I realized that so many business owners didn't know how to do it, and so that sparked this show. Now, it also happens to coincide with this entire series that I'm doing, where I'm taking you through the process that I use with my clients when we are, when we're doing a business transformation. In other words, when I consult with businesses, there's a formula, A to B to C to D. There's a formula that I take business owners through, that takes them from where they are, from where they want to be. And this just happens to be the next step, and it happens to be the same time that this conversation came up on LinkedIn. So my hope for you is that when you're done with these episodes, that you'll be able to craft the perfect ad and get it into the right hands of the people who need to see it. So I want to encourage you, take some notes, listen close, take some notes, and figure out how to take your business to the next level. Okay, so I want to talk about advertising the right way. Now, you may have never thought about this, but when you're advertising, there's really only two reasons. There's two main goals, I guess you could say, for any advertising campaign. And you might say, well, hey, how do I know that? Because I don't know what your business is. Well, this is just the truth. There's two main goals. Number one is market penetration. Now, what market penetration is, it's not increasing the size of the market, it's simply using your USP to take customers away from your competitors. Now, I don't want to sound like a big meanie, but folks, that's what we're in the business of doing. We're in the business of being better than our competitors so we can take business away from them and put money into our own pockets. And so, we're not talking about creating a bigger pie here, we're just talking about giving a smaller slice to your competitor and getting a bigger slice for yourself. So, that's one goal of advertising, is market penetration. So for example, when we run ad campaigns, we're a dog training company, and this company that I've been referencing in this series is a dog grooming company. But when we run advertisements, we're trying to take business, some of our ad campaigns are designed around taking business away from our competitors. Now, I'm sure they're nice people. I'm sure that they love their kids, and I'm sure they pay their taxes, and I'm sure they do good things, but I feel like we're better. We're better, and so we should have more of their clients. And again, if that sounds harsh or cruel, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of business, and that's the beauty of business, in my opinion, that if you're better, you're going to get paid better. If you're worse, you're going to get paid worse. So in any case, that's one goal of advertising, is market penetration. Now, another goal is simply market development. And what that is bringing new people into the market, whatever your industry or whatever your market is. And so in the case of us as dog trainers, there's a large segment of the population. In fact, today, I just spoke with a woman who said, and we just found out that there's people that help other people with getting their dogs house trained. And so, a big part of our job is to educate dog owners on the idea that you should be training your dogs, on the idea that you should be making your dogs happier through training and education and things like that. And so we're trying to increase the pie, and we're trying to take, some of the slices away from some of our competitors. Now, it's important to understand this because the ad campaigns that you run should focus not on both, but should focus on one or the other. Are you trying to show why you're better than your competitors, or are you just trying to educate, a potential customer base on why they need your service? And so once you can, you really want to understand your strategy because it's going to help you craft your message more appropriately. And so let's talk a little bit about your creative strategy. For any ad campaign you're going to be running, any advertising you're going to be buying, getting for free, or whatever, you need to keep in mind three main things. The reach, the frequency, and the message. So let me talk first about reach. Are you reaching the right people with your advertising? It might sound like a silly question, because people are like, well, of course. Or people might say, well, how the heck do I do that? What you need to do is if you have cheap advertising, let's say an ad person comes to you and says, hey, I want to sell you advertising in my magazine. Okay, what's your magazine? My magazine is about plane enthusiasts, people that like airplanes. Well, I have a dog training company or a dog grooming company or whatever. I don't think that's the right demographic that I'm looking to get. Or, what if an ad exec comes to you and says, hey, I want to sell you some advertising in my newspaper. Okay, what's your newspaper? Oh, well, it's this Thrifty Deals newspaper. People that are looking for the cheapest products out there. And that might not be so good if you've got a premium service and a quality service to where you're not trying to compete on price. And so even if the advertising is super cheap, it doesn't help you if it doesn't reach the people that you want to reach. For example, I see all the times people, talking about, oh, maybe I should get a bus bench. Bus bench is probably cheap. To be honest, I've never even looked into it. But is it going to help you very much? Are your customers going to be seeing that, or your potential customers? Or, for example, on this forum on LinkedIn, people were talking about, oh, I get T-shirts printed, and I get pens printed with my name, and I get, and I get little doodads with my business name on it. Well, is that actually going to get out to your customers? It might be cheap to get a couple T-shirts printed, and hey, go ahead and do it, but is it really going to be seen as good advertising, to get your T-shirts done? Most likely not. You need to find whatever medium is going to get you in front of the people that you need to be in front of. Now, generally speaking, the more detailed you can get about who your demographic is, the more expensive it is to reach them. And so if for example, well, I want to be targeting my advertising towards families that are professionals, that have college degrees, that have incomes in this area, that live in this area, that drive this type of car, you can find that and you can advertise to those types of people. But the more specific you get, the more expensive it's going to be, typically. Now, that doesn't mean to say don't do it, because typically the more customized your message is for your audience, the higher the conversion rate. There's a term that I use quite often that on one thing you want to avoid, and that's spray and pray. A lot of people with their advertising, they have a spray and pray strategy where they're just trying to blast their message out there to as many people as possible, and they hope it hits the right people. This is a bad strategy. Spray and pray might be somewhat cheap. It dilutes your brand, and it does you very little. It does very little to help further your cause because, for example, we've decided never to advertise in the Thrifty newspapers. They're great. Sometimes I pick them up. They're fine, for what they are. But for the most part, our customers aren't reading them. And for the most part, if they were reading them, they wouldn't trust, a dog trainer. They might trust getting a guinea pig out of there, or they might trust something else, but they're not going to trust dog training out of a Thrifty newspaper. So even though the Thrifty newspaper guy might say, hey, we're going to get you into 100,000 homes, and it's only going to cost you $200. Now, I really don't know what the numbers are, but I'm just throwing out numbers there. And it's only going to cost you $200. Well, is that $200 well spent? More than likely it's not, because that 100,000 is just sprayed out there, and I'm praying that some of my prospects are going to see it, when in reality the chances are that's not going to happen. And so try to, whenever possible, avoid a spray and pray strategy and go for more targeted demographic strategy. Next thing I want to talk about is frequency. Do you hit your market frequently enough with your message? Now, let me qualify this. Don't listen to what ad salesmen say. Ad salesmen who call you, and I get called by ad salesmen probably once or twice a week, so I know their pitch pretty well. They're going to tell you that someone needs to see your ad 3 times, 5 times, 7 times, 9 times, pick a number. They're going to need to see your ad that many times before they buy. And of course they're saying this so that you get into longer term contracts and you buy more advertising. Now if your message is right, it should be converting people into customers every time. Now are there some customers that are going to need to see it a few times? Absolutely, that's just the reality. But at the same time, your ads should be designed to have people picking up the phone, getting on your website, whatever it is, whatever your call to action is, designed to do that, so that you can be gathering leads and making sales right away, not waiting 7 times down the road for someone to have seen it a bunch of times. But having said that, I want you to, think in terms of how often you should be reaching your market with your advertising. Now, I don't have a formula that says you should communicate with your prospects once a week, once a month, once a year, that you should do this advertising with this frequency. I don't know of any formula like that. All I know of is testing. You should find out by testing. If something's working, try to do it a little bit more. Now, if you do it more and you're not getting the same results, maybe back off a little bit. But the reality, like I say, is testing. Now, reach and frequency are incredibly important. But I mentioned 3 things, and the third thing that I mentioned is message. Message is probably the most important aspect that I need to talk about when you're thinking about ads. And so stay right with us. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to work with you and tell you and teach you how to understand this most critical piece of the puzzle.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause.
Every pet is unique. Maybe they're gray in the muzzle, yet young at heart. Maybe they're growing out of the puppy stage and into their paws and ears. Or maybe they're just trying to maintain a more girlish figure. At PetSmart, we have the right food for your pet at a great value for you. PetSmart. Be better together.
Go to PetLifeRadio.com/PetSmart and save up to 30% on toys, collars, leashes, PetSmart gift cards, treats, and more. Go to PetLifeRadio.com/PetSmart today.
Dyson.
The new Dyson Animal Vacs are powerful bagless upright vacuums for homes with pets. Air muscle and radio root cyclone technology generates the strongest suction power to powerfully remove dust, dirt, and pet hair from the home or car. To order your Dyson Animal Vac, go to PetLifeRadio.com/Dyson. PetLifeRadio.com/Dyson to order your Dyson Animal Vac today.
Dyson. Music to your ears.
I'm not much of a reader, but I do wish I were more well-read.
There are so many great books coming out. I wish I could find a way to keep up.
Audible.com makes it easy to stay well informed and catch up on your reading simply by listening. Audiobooks from Audible turn downtime into uptime. You'll be more productive and become well-read.
Now I'm able to catch up on all the great books I've been wanting to read.
With Audible, I feel smarter.
Pet Life Radio listeners, try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan free. And get a free audiobook. Choose from over 100,000 titles. To get this great deal, go to audibledeals.com. That's audibledeals.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Megan Blake here with my sidekick Super Smiley, the giant mutt and spokes dog for throwaways. You're listening to Pet Life Radio, and I'd like to tell you about our brand new show, A Super Smiley Adventure. Our show explores adventures with animals. They can be traveling, out in the world trips, or inner journeys where our animals lead us to inspiration and self-discovery, or just plain fun adventures. Join us here on Pet Life Radio on A Super Smiley Adventure. Good boy.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, we're back, and we were talking about crafting our ads, and we're talking about reach, we're talking about frequency, and now I wanted to talk to you about message. And like I mentioned before, this is the most critical piece of the puzzle. Your message has to be right, and most people do this part oh so wrong. Most people really screw up the message, when they're trying to create their ad. So let me go through some critical elements. Now, if you haven't been taking notes, this is a part where I definitely want you to go grab a pen and take some notes, because I'm going to give you a formula for certain aspects that you need if you're going to have a successful ad. Number one is a headline. Now, this is where most people screw it up right out of the gate. The headline they create is something that's self-serving rather than eye-catching. They should be serving their customers, but they're only serving themselves. Think about it. What are the main headlines you see? When you look at most ads, what's the headline you most often see? Number one, you'll often see the business name. The headline is, Acme Dog Training or ABC Dog Walking. Your prospects don't care about the name of your business. They care about what your business can do for them. So the last thing your headline should be is your business name. Or, their headline is just a basic description of what they do. Maybe it's simply dog training or dog grooming or some other facsimile of that, or like best dog training or best dog grooming or Utah dog training or whatever. But it's not, it's nothing eye-catching or interesting or exciting about it. So let me just kind of start planting some seeds, and let me, I'll talk a little bit off the top of my head here. How about leading with a headline that your prospects care about? Talk to your prospects in the headline. Don't talk about who you are. Talk about what they need and what they want. I mean, for example, if you're a trainer, a headline like 6 weeks to fixing all of your dog problems. Is that going to catch the eye better than Acme Dog Training? Now, if you're a dog walker, what's going to communicate an immediate benefit better than a headline like, which one's better? Put an end to your dog's destruction while you're at work. Joe's Dog Walking Service. I mean, one of them communicates a benefit. One of them communicates something that's unique. Your headline needs to communicate the benefit that your customer gets when they work with you. It grabs their attention. Think in terms of them. What defines their needs? What defines the problems that they have? Don't talk about yourself in the headline. Talk about them. After all, you're trying to sell to them. You're not trying to, toot your own horn. You're trying to sell to them. Think about that. Next thing I want to talk about is copy. And when I say copy, what we're referring to is the text, what goes into the advertising. Now, there's two basic styles of advertising that I typically talk about. One that I call image advertising and one that I call direct response advertising. Now, image advertising, for example, you could see a Coca-Cola ad and there could be no copy at all and you still know that it's for Coca-Cola because they're great at image advertising, because their logo, their color, the shape of their bottle. Same thing can be said for McDonald's, Walmart, a variety of different companies. Now, these companies have billions of dollars to spend on their marketing, and so they can afford to do image advertising. We're small businesses. We can't afford image advertising. We can afford direct response of, hey, this is the benefit that you get. And so what I always recommend to my clients is to have, when you craft ads, the ads should be far more wordy than they should be pictures. It should be far more educational than just a cool picture of a dog or someone walking a dog or training a dog or bathing a dog. This is your chance to educate the consumer. And so copy, in great advertising, there is a simple truth. The more you tell, the more you sell. Let me say that again. The more you tell, the more you sell. Now, this goes against a lot of conventional wisdom. A lot of ad people out there will say, let's just make something visually creative and stunning. And I like visually creative and stunning as much as the next guy, but that doesn't sell. Your job in your small ad is to communicate as much value, communicate as much difference between you and your competitors, and educate your prospects as much as possible. Now, depending on the type of ads you do, this is tough, but your copy is your chance to sell your services. If you're doing ads and the best thing that you're doing is just putting up some really cool graphics and pictures, you're missing the boat here, folks. There's nothing about a cool picture of a dog that says, I need to call this company right now and hire them to do what they do for me. Nothing. Now, doing ads like that, you could definitely find people that are already looking for a service like yours, but there's nothing that's going to grab somebody off of the page of a magazine or a newspaper or an ad or a radio spot or whatever about, just some simple, cool graphic. And so let's think about the typical ad from a dog trainer or dog groomer. The copy for a dog trainer might read, think of a Yellow Pages ad or an ad in a newspaper. It's going to read something like 10 years experience, work with all breeds, open Monday through Saturday, humane methods, whatever. A groomer's ad might be the same, open these hours, we groom all dogs, lots of experience, blah, blah, blah. Ask yourself, what is different about these ads than their competitors? That ad looks the same as just about any other dog trainer's ad. What makes them stand out? Are they communicating their USP? And again, if you haven't listened to my audio, on my episode on USP, get back there and listen to it. What makes them stand out? Are they communicating their USP? And if they're not, what's the point? When writing copy, you need to think in terms of features versus benefits. Now, what's the difference? A feature is a fact about the business. A benefit is something that adds value to your customer's life. Big difference. Even something as benign as hours of operation, you can do it in the terms of features versus benefits. For example, what if you're a daycare, a dog daycare, and your hours are better than your competitors? You could list them as a feature and say, okay, we're open these hours, blah, blah, blah. Or you could mention something in your ad copy, drop your dog off before work and pick him up after, even if you have crazy hours. Or something like that. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here. But what about dog trainers? Myself, in our copy that we write for any of our ads or web presence is, we'll often talk about how you can walk your dog down the street without a leash, even with kids and other dogs around. We paint this picture for them. Now, that's so much more of a picture and an immediate benefit to a prospect versus most of our competitors who simply are advertising off-leash obedience. Now, off-leash obedience in an ad, and you can take your dog on a walk down the street without a leash, even with distractions and other dogs, etc. Those communicate, when you think about it, communicate the exact same thing, but one of them is communicating a benefit, of, hey, look what I can do. I've always wanted to walk my dog off with a leash, and one of them is communicating a feature. Off-leash obedience is what we do. And so think more in terms of benefit versus feature. Your customers are going to buy for the benefits, and they're going to rationalize based on the features. And so get into the mind of your prospects. Figure out what's going to move them into action and what causes them the biggest benefits, and communicate that to them in their copy. Next thing I want to talk about is an offer. Now sometimes I pull my hair out on this one, because sometimes I see people do this so wrong, and I just want to scream. Now, I shouldn't say sometimes, almost every time. Almost every time I see ads for dog-related stuff in my local magazines or newspapers, it's done so wrong. I can't tell you how many ads I've seen that don't even have an offer. And so for starters, that's wrong. They simply list what the business does. Many of my competitors advertise in magazines and newspapers, and there's no offer. It's, here's our business, here's our phone number. That's it. Now, do they get people calling them? I'm sure they do, because people are actively looking for dog training. But how much better response are they going to get if they give an offer? What can an offer be for your business? It could be a free consult. It could be a discounted price. It could be a 2-for-1 deal. It could be a free seminar. It could be a variety of things, designed to either capture leads or capture sales or upsell. Like I say, most ads, I call them business card ads, because think of a business card. What's on it? The person's name, their business, their phone number, their fax number, their website, their email. It's just basically contact info. Business cards are great. In fact, well, I don't know that they're great. We've actually, as a company, I no longer get business cards, because what's the point? People don't buy off of business cards. People buy because they see the value of something and they're ready to invest their hard-earned dollars. Very few business cards do that. Now, maybe one day we'll go and we'll do a really killer business card, but for now, like I say, we don't even do business cards anymore. But most ads that I see out there are simply business card ads. It's almost as if they took their business card and just made it fit the page, and that's their ad. That's a joke, folks. That does nothing. What are you going to offer to your prospects? What is in that ad that you've just paid money for? Remember, this is an investment. What's in that ad that's going to call them to action and say, hey, I've got to move on this and get this. I really want that. So make sure that you're offering something in your ad. And don't get caught up where I hear a lot of people say, well, we're a dog training company. We offer we offer puppy training, we offer group classes, we offer off-leash training, we offer service dog training. How am I supposed to do an offer because we have so many things? forget about that. I mean, your offer could be a free consult just to talk to them. I mean, your offer could be 10% off. I mean, on any program or whatever the case might be, but don't ever do an ad where there's not an offer. You're just flushing your money down the toilet if that's what you're doing. So, I want to finish up here, folks, with today's episode. Now, I've got a lot more. In fact, I'm only halfway through how to craft the perfect message. And not only that, I still need to tell you about what are the pros and cons. You're going to want to listen to this part. The pros and cons of the different types of ads out there. There's tons of different ads, from direct mail to mailers to magazines to newspapers and radio and all that stuff. There's tons of ways that you can advertise, and so you need to figure out what are the best ones for you, what are the pros and cons, and most importantly, how to track the effectiveness. Again, you need to track your ROI. If you're going to put $1,000 into advertising, you better know how much money is coming out on the other side, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So I want you to come back for our next episode because there's going to be so much great info in it. Now, if you have any questions, just email me at ty@petliferadio.com or visit my website, sixfiguredogbusiness.com. I look forward to talking with you soon, and come join us next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.